Hello and welcome to the Weight Loss for Women Over 50 Masterclass Series. Jessica Kishbog is here with me, and she is a holistic nutritionist, nutrition psychology counselor, and emotional eating coach. So she is the CEO of Loyo Wellness and the founder of Loyo Method Coaching Program. She works with women to heal and nourish their relationship with food and body through the power of food psychology and habit change. Jessica specializes in nutrition psychology, binge eating, emotional eating, stress reduction, and mindfulness. With an intuitive eating and self care approach, Jessica counsels clients to let go of dieting and emotional eating so they can create happier, wholesome, balanced lives and to empower them with confidence to live a life of health, body positivity, and freedom. So, Jessica lives in New Jersey with her husband and three children. So, she is here to talk about toxic nutritional beliefs. I am so excited about this topic. Welcome, Jessica Kishbog. So happy to have you here.
It's always a pleasure, Cherie. So nice to be here.
So I always start out with your story on how did you get into the emotional eating and these topics that you love to talk about?
Yeah, so I was someone who struggled for so much of my life, from as far back to being bullied in middle school for weight and kind of scapegoated. Really had quite a negative body image and positive negative self-esteem around body and dieting behaviors that took me on every diet out there, right? Constantly thinking about it, obsessing about it, trying this, trying that, but also not having the knowledge to know what on earth to do in high school and college, and realized it was so much more than just what to eat or not to eat, or what to exercise and how to exercise. And it took a really long time to realize that, um, I used to stress eat. I used to be really overwhelmed in my former career. I was an attorney for a while, and that was a really stressful time. It was really hard. And so every night I would eat ice cream. That was my soothing mechanism. Again, not about what to eat or not to eat, right? Of course. Should I eat ice cream every night? Probably not. If I, if I have some sort of like health journey that I'm on. But it wasn't about that. It was really about what else was happening for me, and exploring my own personal development and emotions, and how to overcome that. So when I started working in the nutritional coaching world and sort of trying to help everyone get healthy, I started to veer down this path of specialization, because I lived it. And it's something that really lit me up in terms of helping women develop healthier relationships with food, and work on their eating challenges and eating behaviors from a mindset perspective, from, how are we as eaters, as opposed to only what are we actually eating. Who are we as eaters, and how can we overcome binge eating, emotional eating, mindless eating, dieting behaviors, chronic overeating, those sort of things. And so much of it does come down to, what's happening up here in our minds.
Very good. I'm glad that you mentioned what's happening up here in our minds because you often talk about the power of our mindset and our thoughts. Can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, so much. So, I mean, we could talk about this one for days, but,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, thoughts, thoughts that don't serve us, right? We have so many
Yes.
thoughts that don't serve us. And I think, this is part of the puzzle. Um, I'll be happy when I'm thin, right? I have no control. I have no control over my cravings. I, you know, I'm wasteful if I don't finish food on my plate, right? If I can't say no to someone if they're offering me food because I'll hurt that person's feelings. Or, I don't know, like I don't deserve to buy nice clothes until I'm a size XYZ. Or if I messed up, oh God, I messed up today. I cheated. I'm bad. Might as well just give up.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are all thoughts. Those are all thoughts, and those thoughts in our mind create feeling. They create really strong feelings oftentimes, and that feeling influences our behavior. So our behavior is, like what you do, how you show up, what's your next step, what do you do? So it all just boils back to what's actually happening up here, the problem with thinking, so to speak, and why those thoughts can really be very impactful to how we're feeling and then how we end up behaving. Language, verbiage, these are really important. And it's really like when we speak about ourselves to ourselves, what we're like, the words that we're using it's so important to, recognize how intricately that relates to how we end up behaving, especially in the food world.
You brought up some very good points about especially like things I heard growing up. Finish the food on your plate. Or my mom always bought clothes too small for her, thinking she's always going to get into them, right? Or you have the other mindset where I'm not going to buy new clothes because I'm going to wait till I lose weight rather than buying that shirt that's going to make me feel so good when I have that new shirt. So you brought up some things that I think people sometimes we grow up with, right? That are learned.
Absolutely. Yeah, they are often learned. And they are often just sort of phantom thoughts. They're thoughts that might not be fact, right? They're just thoughts, right? If
Mm-hmm.
I cheated, I messed up, might as well give up. That's a thought.
Yeah, it could
And
be
then what do you
something
do? You
that
give up.
maybe, yeah, it could be something that maybe my mom had the thoughts of, and I'm just repeating what she always said, whether it's true or not. Yeah, absolutely. So you talk about toxic nutritional beliefs. What is toxic nutritional beliefs?
Yeah. So I studied eating psychology and mind body eating. I take a mind body eating approach to what I do. And this is a big one when it comes to people who have unwanted eating challenges. Um, you know, Healing and transformation and food freedom, from those eating challenges can really come when we've identified and then let go of these toxic nutritional beliefs. So what is a toxic nutritional belief? Um, it's false. It's a belief. Okay. It is a nutritional belief or assumption, that is false, not true. Okay. Or like factually incorrect or outdated. Okay, so it's a belief, a nutritional belief or a dietary belief or assumption that is false or factually incorrect or outdated. So there are certain beliefs about food, about body, about our life that we have about food, and it is toxic. It's like as toxic as a bad ingredient in food. It's toxic to our minds and bodies. And so even if you had the right food, the perfect exercise, the best medicine, like the right nutritional things to do, there are people who won't change because of the toxic nutritional beliefs. Because again, beliefs in our head create feelings in our body, which create the behaviors that we end up, doing and acting on, and that's our identity. So they're really powerful. So those people will continue to emotionally eat or binge eat or overeat, or they won't lose the weight. And it's because these toxic beliefs end up running their lives. It causes a lot of stress. Stress, is a whole nother topic we could talk about the stress response and stress hormones and how that feeds into storing body fat. Our beliefs can really overpower our actual physiology and then your behaviors and your choices, and they hold you back, and they kind of disempower us, and they limit you. So the point being, and I can give you some examples of some toxic nutritional beliefs,
Sure.
but they really limit us, and they hold us back. And so I think that the biggest takeaway is that most people who are searching for the next best diet were in need of a bit of a, belief system change. And we need to look at our actual beliefs. So, you want me to go through a couple?
Absolutely. That would be
All right.
great.
All right. So, here's one of my favorites is fat is bad.
Hear it
Okay.
all the time.
Yep. So fat is bad, meaning like, fat is bad, meaning like dietary fat is bad. This is what people
Yeah.
mean when fat is bad, because they think dietary fat equals fat on my body. Fat in food does not equal fat on my body. Actually, sugar equals fat on my body, because increased sugar causes increased insulin response, and then causes most of that sugar to be stored as fat. So fat in food does not equal fat on my body. It's very outdated. It is, probably since, gosh, I don't know, the 60s maybe.
Well,
We
we
went through
went through that
that
whole low
fat-free
fat
craze,
thing, right?
like in the 80s, maybe the 80s,
Yeah.
90s, the fat-free craze, right?
Our whole women over 50 went through that whole era of low fat, no fat, fat is bad for you. So that's ingrained in our heads that that's true.
So here's the thing, like we need to distinguish good essential dietary fat versus poor quality nutritionally damaging fat, right? Dietary fat. You can have poor quality fat like hydrogenated oils, synthetic fats, the like the processed oils that you have in like a bag of Ruffles potato chips. Like that's not a great fat for you. Okay. The oils that French fries are fried in, that's not the greatest fat for you, right? Like, so we need to look at what the fat is to determine, is this a damaging, like kind of synthetic, hydrogenated, stripped of all the essential fatty acids. The point that fat is actually a really good thing and it's essential is that the good fats have what we need in our body. Essential fatty acids. They're essential. They are necessary. They're not only not bad for us, they are a necessary part of our cellular health, like at the cellular level. They make up our cell walls. They create so many important physiological functions of our body. And if we don't have essential fats, one of many, 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 many symptoms, negative symptoms that occur is weight loss resistance or weight gain. So we can't be on this fat-free kick anymore. Like it's just not a thing anymore. And it is really, I'm so glad that like we've been able to establish what essential fats are, what good quality, healthy fats are. And it doesn't matter about the calories, right? Yes, fats have higher calories. And that's why my people don't count calories, because it's not about that. It's about good quality food. Another one on a little broader level, which often leads to people, and this is kind of this is like one of the deadly ones, right? This is why people end up on restrictive diets over and over and over. Food makes me fat, or food is the enemy. Okay, you can kind of make those interchangeable. So food makes me fat. Food is the enemy. Why is food the enemy? Because food makes me fat, right? If I am fat, then I don't know, people will think I'm lazy. No one will love me. The world, has such fat animosity, right? It's like, there's so much weight hate in this world. And so people think, oh my God, I can't gain weight, right? But our mind believes a lot of nonsense. Okay. So the mind will think, okay, food is the enemy. So don't eat food because it's going to make you fat. Because food's the enemy. So, and this may be subconscious. Like some people don't even know or will admit that this is the belief that they have. And people are just walking around, okay, how can I limit my food intake today? How can I count or restrict my calories? How can I limit my appetite? And then appetite becomes the enemy. That's another toxic belief, appetite. Oh, if I didn't have an appetite, I wouldn't need to eat food. We need food, people. We need food to live, right? Food is not the enemy. Food is our friend. Food nourishes us. Food makes us live. Food builds your body. And yes, again, certain foods in certain amounts may be less than stellar and cause weight gain. Sure, but food is not the enemy. Okay. Appetite also is your friend. If you don't have an appetite, you won't eat. You won't eat, you die. I mean, it's really as simple as this, right? But again, these beliefs run our world. So we're walking around thinking food is the enemy, appetite is the enemy. What does our brain do? It perceives enemy. It perceives like, emergency response. And then we go into a stress response, and that's the brain's job. It doesn't distinguish between real or imagined threats. It's like, oh my God, stress response, heart rate up, blood pressure up, digestion shut down, we need to go into fight or flight. Appetite is deregulated. Metabolism goes, haywire, because we're in this like stress response of day in and day out, like self-chosen thoughts about food being the enemy. And these are just unnecessary thoughts. Like we don't have to think that. We just need to be more educated around how to nourish, that food is nourishing, right? That fat is a good thing, that, having an appetite is a necessary part of human life. Does that make sense? Right?
It does. You bring up so many good examples. And one of the things that I was thinking of when you were talking about that, food being the enemy, or, women fearing weight gain and society and societal pressures, right? But I think too, with even the magazines and media, you see somebody who is very thin. They might have, like very well dressed. Does thin actually equal healthy? And sometimes I think we think that just because somebody's skinny, thin, trim, whatever you want to call them, that they don't have anything going on inside that is unhealthy. That's so untrue.
Want to know
Just
another
because,
toxic nutritional belief?
yes, I do.
If only I were thin, I'd be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Another way to say that, like, I'll be happy when I lose the weight, right? I'll be happy when I only weighed a certain number. I'll be happy when I had a certain body. I'll be happy when I have this perfect body, like a Hollywood celebrity who is probably not happy. So like, it doesn't really matter. Looking a certain way or having a certain weight or having a certain body guarantees us nothing. We think that it does, but I'm sure that there are plenty of people out there that have these bodies that you might be like striving for. And the reason you're striving for them is because you think you think that that's going to give you happiness. But there are people that have that and they're miserable.
Yeah.
Or, like you said, they're actually unhealthy in the inside. Maybe they have these great bodies, but they have high cholesterol and high blood pressure and other illnesses or other debilitating things that are happening with their digestion. Or, maybe they spend all day in the bathroom. You don't know, right? You don't know what goes on behind closed doors in terms of other people's internal pains and internal sufferings. You just know, hey, they have, they have abs. Whoop-de-doo-da-day. What does that guarantee? Right? So you have this toxic
Right.
that you're going to be happier if you have this perfect ab body, right? And the sort of opposite of how we can look at this is the journey informs the destination. I kind of love that quote, which is, if only I weighed a certain amount or looked a certain way, then I'll be happy, which essentially means I'm not happy right now. So I'm not going to be happy until I have this perfect body. So why not start being happy now
Mm-hmm.
and work more lovingly and compassionately towards a goal of maybe weight loss if that's your goal, but don't put happiness on the back burner until you meet some like arbitrary number on the scale or this body that may or may not happen. We don't know. Nothing's guaranteed in this world, because you know what? Meeting that number or having that body, it's not guaranteeing a thing. It's not guaranteeing your happiness.
No.
So let's start to focus on where you can find happiness now, if that's really your ultimate goal. Have compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Have
Yeah.
confidence, right? I'll lose weight. I'll have
Yeah.
confidence. Have confidence now while you're working towards your goals.
I love that. because ultimately that number on the scale is just gravity bringing you down to the earth, right? That's what that number is. So if you can, really just look at, I love your message about just being happy now, taking that time for you now. And we don't always have to compare what's working for somebody else with what's working for me. What they're doing might not be what I need to do for me in my life right now. Because I know like what you do, Jess, is different than things I do every day. You have three small children, you're in that role, right? And I have three grown children with two granddaughters. We have totally, completely different activities every day.
Yeah.
So, so beneficial eating psychology principles. What do you call those?
Oh my goodness. So that this could be like a whole nother conversation as well. But the shortened version of this is working with weight takes right now, right? 2024. It really does take a new approach that requires a lot more openness and willingness to sort of step into the unknown, that requires taking psychology and emotions and mindset into account. I've been teaching and working with women with unwanted eating challenges for over 6 years now, and they come from different backgrounds and lifestyles and health challenges and conditions and things like that. And, I would say one of the biggest key factors here is, again, considering behaviors, considering psychology, not just nutrition, working and understanding the mindset of the eater, like eating psychology, our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, our food story, how your inner world impacts your eating choices. I would say, a lot of nutritionists or dietitians are like, okay, I can help you lose weight or whatever. And like, we give you a meal plan, throw you a meal plan, give you some food to eat. But what happens when life happens? What happens when we can't break habits? What happens on the days we feel unmotivated? What happens when there's grief in my life? What happens when there's a stressful day with those kids or at work or just in general? What happens when those cravings are too high? Like, there are reasons why we behave in certain ways. So what we eat is part of the story, and who we are as eaters is a big part as well. So many people can't comply to whatever dietary advice they're given by any professional that gives you dietary advice. I know what I'm supposed to eat. I know what to do. Like, I just can't do it. That's why this is where eating psychology comes into play. There's such a gap, right? There's a gap in our knowledge. There's a gap in the sort of like the global conversation around weight and eating challenges. And I think that's really the biggest point is we're human, we have emotions, we have a mind, that greatly impacts our relationship with food. That's why I went from being a bit of a generalist to like trying to help everyone, get healthy, let me like work with everyone, right? In the beginning of my practice, to specializing here in nutrition psychology in a mind body eating approach. Because I think it's just so important. It's really, and I see such an impact with women who are making such amazing changes to like how, like, to their self-esteem, to their body image, to their motherhood, to how they show confidence at work or with their spouse, or just how they're showing up in the world. And that's the point, right? Isn't that the point
Right.
of life?
You bring up you bring up a lot of good points, but I do hear women tell me, I know what I need to do. I just can't do it. And then have the confidence to do that because they feel they can do it on their own. Like I can do it on my own. I know what to do. But for some reason, they just can't get there. They just need that. And you said the lack of the information, the correct information. But it's like they just can't get over that bridge to get it done. But they feel like they have everything else. But they're like, I just can't get it. I just can't get there. So do you have advice for them on that particular? Like how do they get there?
I mean, it's a great question, which it's hard to give blanket advice because it's going to be
Yeah.
so individualized. What is their mindset? What's their lifestyle look like? I look at the whole picture. What's going on in
Mm-hmm.
your life? Why can't you get there? What's happening? How many times have we been down this road? How long has it been a problem? How many diets have you tried? What's this repetitive behavior to your metabolism that, is creating? How are your hormones? What else is happening in your life? What is your stress like? What are those emotions? Why do you feel unmotivated? What's really happening? Why does it even matter to you? I don't know. Like, these are all the questions
Mm-hmm.
that come up to me that I would be asking the person so that we can get a lot of clarity over, like, why? Really, the ultimate answer. You're saying you can't get there. Why? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Without just saying why, like, those are some of the questions I think I would ask. What is the real root reason? Getting a little bit deeper into that conversation around those roadblocks, and then working on the roadblocks, not just slapping another band-aid on the solution.
Mm-hmm. Or
And by
or
band-aid,
just
I mean like quick fix, right? Oh, let's just
yeah.
take some weight loss medication or whatever other fads are out there right now.
And there's a lot of fads out there that we need to steer away from because we need a sustainable program, right? We need something that's going to the rest of our lives so that we can just not have these issues anymore. So thank you so much. That is a beautiful answer to my off the spot question. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us, Jessica. Sorry to put you on the point. So you have a free mini course for the viewers, Dieting Mindset 5-day mini course. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so you will get an email every day. It is a course that takes you through shifting your mindset, kind of what we talked about today, touching on some of these points and toxic beliefs, but specific around like dieting, around dieting mindset, around dieting behaviors, around a few different ways we can start to shift what's happening again up here, because that's where it all starts, right? From the head down. So starting what's up here, shifting how we think about certain things, allowing you to gain some knowledge and then take some action step with some exercises around shifting some of our dieting mindsets so that we can shift how we feel and then shift how we believe and how we act and behave.
Love that. Thank you for offering that Dieting Mindset 5-day mini course. The link is below the video for everyone, along with her website or social media, so you can follow her. Any last piece of advice or actionable step you want to leave the viewers with today?
Give yourself grace in the process of change and know that it's not meant to be a quick fix. Change, no change is meant to be a quick fix. Change is often a longer process, especially impactful change, transformation, lifelong change, sustainable change, even beyond just weight. When we make changes, any changes in our life, they usually take some time. So give yourself grace in the process of change, celebrate the wins, be imperfect in that process, and, love yourself in the process of change.
Love that. So good. So, for those of you tuning in, be sure to check out Jessica's Dieting Mindset 5-day mini course. Click the link below the video to access that. And be sure to tune back in for the rest of our Weight Loss for Women Over 50 Masterclass series. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, Jessica Kishbach. So much good information.
Thanks, Cherie.